So what happens when somebody who is elected pledges allegiance to another country? Well, first of all, it's a violation of your oath, but let me get into the story. Congresswoman Delia Ramirez stood this week on foreign soil speaking in Spanish at a summit in Mexico City, and she said, and I'd like to quote, "I am a proud Guatemalan before I'm an American." Now, this isn't all. Her husband also is in this country illegally. That's not me saying that. That's the Rolling Stone, which reported that a couple of years ago. So let this sink in here for a minute. This is a sitting member of Congress, sworn to uphold the Constitution, says she's a Guatemalan before she's an American. Meanwhile, her household, she defies the immigration laws that she just swore to protect and defend. All right, this is not a gaffe. This is not a misquote. This is intentional, and it is happening over and over and over again. We have people, Ilhan Omar, she is a Somali before she's an American. Those are her words. This is not about heritage or cultural pride. You can't say you don't love the country of your ancestors. I mean, Tanya's family is so great, because they come from Italy. They're Italian Americans, but they would never say they're Italian American. They're Americans. Where's your family from? Italy. And they're proud of that. And I love that they have mixed that, and it has become very American. I love that. But when you separate yourself and you are an Italian first, there is no way anybody in Tanya's family throughout history would have ever said. In fact, her uncle Leo, I've talked about a million times, he was born here in America while they were on vacation. They went back to Italy, but he was the only natural-born citizen. He was the only citizen. When the war came, they were afraid that the entire family was going to be wiped out. So what did he do? He came to America. But instead of just sitting collecting things, he's like 18 years old. He enlisted in the U.S. Army. And because he had a heavy Italian accent, everybody thought, he's a spy. And so he got the worst of the worst. He was on one of the first boats for D-Day. When that gate came down, he was one of the first to try to make the mad dash to the cliff. Why? Because he's obviously a spy. He was proudly an American. When you serve in Congress, when you sit on the committee for the Homeland Security, you're not just representing voters. You're representing the sovereignty of the United States of America. You are part of the body tasked to defend our borders, its laws, and yes, its identity. And I am sick and tired, and I won't play the game, and nor should you, that our identity is worse than anybody else's, that our identity somehow or another doesn't matter. Our identity as American, we changed the world. Now, you can be proud of that while also being ashamed of some of the things we did when we beat our chest, when we went awry, when we went away from our Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. When we get away from that, we're screwed. We screw everything up. Well, we're doing that now. She should be denaturalized, deported. Maybe. That's what some members of Congress are calling for. She certainly should be kicked off the Homeland Security Committee. She should probably be kicked out of Congress. You cannot have your loyalty to another country over your loyalty to the United States of America. I mean, when will we start taking allegiance seriously again? When? The founders were really clear. Let's look at this historically. George Washington, in his farewell address, warned about foreign entanglements. And we always think that is, we shouldn't get involved in foreign wars. Yes, it is. It is. Do you know why you have to be a a naturally born citizen of the United States to serve as president? You can't be some Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody's like, I'd let Arnold Schwarzenegger be president. I'd let Elon Musk be president. I wouldn't. Because they weren't born here. Now, that is in our Constitution. And why? Because the founders feared that you would have an alliance that would be above the United States of America. You would say, in Elon Musk's case, you know what? I really am more loyal to South America or South Africa than I am the United States. Or Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm more aligned with Austria than the United States. Neither of those guys will say that. Neither of those guys believe that. But we have members of Congress who say, I am more aligned, and it is more the country that I have the heart for is Somalia or Guatemala over the United States. Why are you serving? That's what foreign entanglements, it's not just military alliances. He wrote of the danger of foreign influence and corruption, noting that allegiance divided is allegiance denied. Now, that's George Washington. We all know Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt didn't believe in hyphenated Americans. There's only Americans. There is no room, quoting him, there is no room in this country for hyphenated Americanism. Now, that is obviously not a swipe at immigrants. It was a call to unify under one flag, one set of laws, one national destiny. That's why we're the melting pot. That's why we came together. That's why we could do incredible things. Because people came and brought the best of their culture with them, but they melted and wanted to be an American. And when dual loyalties creep into the halls of power, that's when a republic crumbles. That's when you're over. And it's not from without, it's from within. And as I said, Congresswoman Ramirez, her comments didn't happen in a vacuum. They come at a time when Donald Trump has made immigration central to the campaign, ending birthright citizenship, ramping up ICE arrest, deporting those who break our laws, apparently except for her husband. And what's the reaction? Outrage. Outrage from the same people who, want our borders open, sanctuary cities, policies that blur, if not erase, the line between citizen and non-citizen. They want that gone. This isn't political. It's not a political line anymore. This is a spiritual one. This is a moral one. This is a constitutional line. And now, with her own words and her own associations, she's drawn that line in the sand. On one side is America. On the other side is Guatemala. And she, by her own words, made her choice. Guatemala. Now, the question is, does Congress even care? Will Congress and the American people choose America over Guatemala or Somalia or any other place? Will we say it matters? So here's what happened. This is what I believe should absolutely happen immediately. She needs to immediately be removed from Homeland Security or immigration-related committees. If you don't believe in national sovereignty, you should not be managing our national sovereignty. There should be a full investigation into her husband's immigration status. No one in this country, not even the spouse of the Congresswoman, should be above the law. If Melania Trump had come here illegally, I would say exactly the same thing. No one is above the law. Citizenship loyalty review. Boy, this really sounds scary. You want a citizenship loyalty review? Yeah. Yeah, we've had one in the past, and I think we should reintroduce it. Because that is the oath of office, the oath of allegiance. And that has to be a binding standard for those who are serving. Are you allegiant? Do you pledge allegiance to our flag, our country, our Constitution? And if you can't say with real full conviction, oh, yeah, absolutely, of course, that your allegiance is with the United States of America, well, then you don't belong in government. If you can't say, no, my loyalty is absolutely behind the Constitution of the United States of America, then you should not be in government. And here's the biggest thing that has to happen. This one happens with us. We have to stop going, oh, well, that's just politics. Because this is not politics. This is not politics. This goes right directly to the soul of our nation. A line now has been crossed. And it was crossed with Ilhan Omar, and we said nothing. And now it's been crossed with Congresswoman Ramirez. And she crossed two lines. Her husband, according to Rolling Stone, is an illegal. So are we going to hold the line or not? Because if we don't know where our allegiance is, then we no longer know who we are. We no longer believe in anything anymore because America doesn't matter. You can serve as a defender of the Constitution and our sovereignty and not believe in the Constitution or our sovereignty. That makes no sense. You know what that means? That means retardation has gone airborne. That's what that means. That we have become so susceptible to retardation that we can't see our own suicide. But that's what that story is really all about. And we have a choice. So what are you going to do about it today? I suggest you stand up and you let your voice be heard.